right, and we are live for the 21st installment of the Unplugged Alpha series. This is going to be a fun panel tonight. I'm joined. I'm just going to go clockwise around the screen. We've got Charles, 50 Shades of Green, Mr. Texas Real Estate. We've got Moff beneath him, Josh, Renegade Wingman, and Men Shrine beside him. These are all some dudes from my community. They're kind of legends in their own right in my group, and I try to get out about once a month and bring them on, just kind of chop up some bigger ideas. And we came up with this notion of doing a cast or a collab together on the subject of how to network properly, because a lot of guys are always asking, like, how do I find other like-minded men? How do I level up? And I talk about this a lot during my regular shows, but I've never really dedicated one show to it. I know all of these men on this cast tonight, there'll probably be one or two others joining, as we kind of like roll through it, are very well connected. And I mean, let's just start off with this question. So how important are the connections that you've made in your personal and business life to your success, to women? We'll just go clockwise. So Charles, I'll just let you go first.
All right, well, I have a couple of anecdotes. This one is rather recent. When I first moved to Boston, I ride a Ducati. I've been riding for about 20 years by now, but when I first came, I didn't have any friends. And I went to some of these bike riding events. There's this charity event called the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride, which raises money for men's prostate cancer and male suicide. So they basically have hundreds of bikes. They're usually cafe racers, standards, classic bikes. And everybody dresses up in tuxedos and suits. The ladies are in dresses with peacock feathers, and they would parade around the town. I managed to build up a social circle that way. But more importantly, I was at a Ducati dealership event, and I met two friends. Let's call them Andrew and Jeff. I see Andrew at least once every month. He came to my wedding. I'm helping him with relationship troubles sometimes. And I recently purchased a Porsche Boxster. And as you know, in Boston, it's quite snowy out here, so you will need winter tires. I picked up the car in Indiana, where it doesn't snow as much. Jeff happens to be a Porsche enthusiast. So he owns a 981 Spider, and he had a Boxster for 10 years. He was able to help me go through all the listings, have the inspector visit the dealership. He went over all the mechanical details with me, basically telling me whether something is a lemon or if it's a good car. We managed to pick out a good car. And not only that, he sold me his barely used, with 18-inch winter tires and rim for $1,600, which is less than half of its retail price. And he's going to come here on Sunday and put them on for me.
So, like, motorcycles, and I mean, you guys know, if you've read my book, I have an entire chapter on why I think a guy should own a motorcycle at some point in his life. I really enjoyed those years. I got my bike license around 17 or 18, and I stopped riding at 30, not permanently, but just stopped at that time. I made a lot of great friends. There was a lot of rides that I did. I did rides in different parts of the world too. Like, I've ridden throughout Europe. I've also, one of my favorite rides was actually going through California, where Renegade Wingman's at, doing the Bay Area up to top of Mount Tam. And it's like, just like the coolest thing, being able to get on the twisties and the roads and just run it. Like, everybody talks to you when you have a bike, right? It's like, I guess when Jeeps wave at other Jeep owners, it's like pretty much every bike owner, with the exception of like Harleys, will wave at you if you ride a sport bike. But you get a head nod, you get a hand wave, something like that, right? It's almost like an automatic brotherhood. And I think the thing with Ducatis that's unique, I never owned a Duck. It was mostly like, the Japanese crotch rockets. But do you get special invites to Ducati owner events, like, dinners, galas, like road trips or anything like that?
There are like Ducati riders clubs. I was in Denver, and they have a very large Ducati community. The dealership there over by Walnut, it's a street. They organize a lot of the social events. And they also have like rock and roll concert bands. Here in New England, because it snows half the year, the community is quite a bit smaller. But we also have, as far as the marquee itself, we would get together and watch MotoGP, right? So they would have regular Sunday events, and we would watch MotoGP.
Yeah. It's a really good community to get, and it's not expensive. I mean, even a nice motorcycle, a Ducati, like what's the barrier to entry on that? Like 10, 15 grand for a used one?
So it depends on what age. You could pick up a beginner's Monster 696 for about $6,000, which is what I just sold,
Mm.
1.4, and it's very low mileage. It's about 3,000. You could
And are
get
you
even.
accepted into the group if you show up with a Monster 696, or is it
Oh
kind of
yeah,
like you're shunned?
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
People are not that discriminative. I mean, we all ride bikes. We all enjoy the same thing. You're just a brother or a sister like
Right.
the rest of us.
Got it. Got it. 50 Shades.
Yeah, I would say network is 90% to me. You know, building a network, whatever city I've been in, I lived in 50 different or 4 different states out of the 50 and a bunch of different cities. And I've always found if you attend, go to the local political party. I don't care, well, I do care what side you're on, but, if you go to party meetings, party events, you're going to get people from all age ranges, all business backgrounds, absolutely everything. And I refer to networking as kind of business game. You got to have some of the very same skills that you have when you're engaging with women. You got to know when to back away. You meet someone who's way up the food chain. It's going to be a hello, how you doing? See if you have anything in common. Walk away, maybe come back later. You can't engage somebody full on and pushing from the start. But I've built a huge network, and just small example here locally. One of my Irish buddies is a pretty major contractor, and instead of me having to vet subcontractors or workers for my house, I'll just ask him. I'll say, I need a good electrician, I need a good landscaper, I need a good hardscaper, I need a good pool guy, and he'll just tell me this guy's the best, and this other guy is. I don't have to worry about any of the rest of the stuff. So,
What was the most valuable organization, group, whatever that you joined that expanded your network? 50 Shades.
I would say a lot of the the Republican Party circles I ended up in, but also the
really?
car. The car. You're going to get a lot of clowns and idiots, but I would say car. Yeah, I go to car meets as well, and it's the exact same thing. Someone breaks out a cigar. Mm-hmm. And you know what it's like. 90% of the guys at a car meet are not going to be, it doesn't matter what they're driving. They're going to be eager to show it to you. And people are swapping business cards, and it's just yappity yap back and forth. Like 2006, just for example, I met a bunch of Irish American, guys of Irish descent who were big in the Republican Party. And they were all older than me. I was hanging out with them in New York, blah, blah. And they just called me up one day and they said, what are you doing for St. Patrick's Day? And I said, the usual. I said, want to come to the White House? I was like, you serious? And they were like, yeah. So I spent St. Patrick's Day 2006 at the Irish Prime Minister's thing at the White House, handing over the shamrock and all that crap.
Okay.
And that just goes to show you the power of networking. You go from being a nobody in New York City to drinking out of the White House china and flipping the bird to tourists out the window on St. Patrick's Day.
Gotcha. Jason, what's the deal in Texas? Like, what's your experience been with networking?
I'm a firm believer that you will not survive if you don't have a pretty big network. I mean, it's just whether that's social or professional. I mean, my entire career was built on building a network. Real estate is one of those businesses where it is, people think they go online and that's how you buy a property. And especially when we started getting into commercial real estate, it's all networking. It's all, one of my good buddies is, he's a partner in the largest commercial brokerage in the state. So when I'm looking for something, I call him up, go, hey man, you guys got this is kind of what I'm looking for. And even if they don't have it, I can bounce ideas. Hey, we're looking at this kind of deal. What are your thoughts? That sort of thing. So it is critical. If you're one of these guys that just kind of sits inside all the time and plays video games, you're kind of missing out on the bigger game here. There is ample opportunity out there to do whatever you want with a whole group of people. And I tell you, one of the things you will find is the more successful you become are out there. So,
Is he breaking up for you guys too?
Yeah, breaking up a little bit.
All right, Jason, we're gonna put you on put you on ice for a minute because you're breaking up
Okay.
with the connection. I'll throw it over to Moff. I'll come back to you in a minute though. But Moff, yeah, it's same question. So you're up in the Northeast. What's been the best way for you to network and level up? Like, what have you found works?
It's been this group itself, man. It's being in New York City. I'm more concerned with finding red-pilled guys, but even funneling down to red-pilled successful guys. And I think that I think I'm more one of the common guys out there that I think a lot of people will resonate with my experience being one of the younger guys in the group, not being an entrepreneur, not running a business. I mean, doing my small stuff on the side with like coaching and things like that. But I'm still in corporate world. Like I'm a software sales guy for, a company here and based in New York. So for me, sort of what 50 Shades mentioned really resonates. It's, I want to be able to have a guy for this and a guy for that. And not because I want to be able to say, I can ask for favors, but I want to see guys that I like and guys that I can resonate with and help them and see them level up so they can pass that along and, help others do the same. So, I mean, for me, like the 1% group, the community we built here is, the majority of the guys that I talk to and spend time with, bounce business ideas off of, bounce dating advice ideas off of. One of the big goals and priorities that it's been for me since we had our Miami trip about a month ago was, I'm not going to be able to go into a networking event or a car event or a CEO entrepreneurs event and tell guys how to run their business, these titans of these industry. But being in this space for about a year now and seeing a lot of the stories out there, I've run into dozens, if not hundreds of guys and heard dozens of guys' stories that are like, yeah, man, I'm crushing it in life, in business, but my wife only sleeps with me on my birthday and on Christmas. And so those are the guys I want to talk to and say, okay, like where are we falling short? Where can I add value to these kind of guys? So, that's been the biggest thing for me is, and I'm sure that we'll talk more about that, but for me, it's about this group and then building those genuine relationships. It's more so about how do I be a guy that people want to talk to and be around. And a lot of that starts with just being socially calibrated. So that's how I try to go into every interaction.
Yeah, I want to talk about the Miami trip in the show too. So we'll come back to that. Jason, how's your connection? Are you good now?
I hope so. I think I'm right next to the internet right here. So who knows? But
Right. We lost you for about 5 seconds. So just
I saw that everybody
rewind for
stopped
about
all of a
5.
sudden. Everybody stopped all of a sudden. I was like, uh-oh, it's definitely not them. I think the most important piece, and this is actually something I heard from Aaron Clary of all folks, where he said, at some point you run up the success track where you become peerless. And that's not really a good place to be if you guys read the 48 Laws of Power. So what I have found is what I've done lately is now I'm getting groups of guys together, at least locally, that are really successful. We have these success dinners and they're all different industries. So we're at some high-end restaurant somewhere in town, and it's 5-10 guys, over old fashions and whiskey and sushi and all that. Hey, what are you guys doing? What are you struggling with in your business? That sort of thing. And you will find that old saying that, hey, the more successful you get, the more lonely it is at the top, and that's 100% true. So you're always looking for where are those other guys trying to keep continue to push the envelope. And that's where networking becomes absolutely critical.
So just to add to that, another good resource, a good friend of mine wrote a book on Amazon called Mastermind Dinners. Let me just make sure it's still on Amazon, because this was his thing. Like, he was a big connector on events before COVID hit. Let me see here. Let me just make sure it's still on.
Is it Jason Gaynard?
Yeah, you got it. There it is. So it's still up. I wasn't sure if it's still up. I'll just throw it up on the screen. I'm not going to bother dropping a link. You guys can go and search for it real quick. But if you're listening to the podcast and audio version, just go to Amazon and search for Mastermind Dinners. The author's name is Jason Gaynard, Gaynard. This guy, I've never seen anybody as connected as Jay is, and the people that he puts together. In fact, if you go back to my really old videos in the channel from like 2015, 2016, I got a video with Jay in my old M3 convertible, and we got hit by like this tornado windstorm when we were driving. But we had a really interesting conversation during the drive. You guys want to dig it up, but if you want to learn how to host dinners and connect people at these dinners in the best way possible, I'd recommend reading this book.
I think I found my calling.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one of the things everybody ought to do. Everyone needs to have a meetup. Like you guys all ought to run a meetup in your own town. It doesn't matter. It could be over real estate or, whatever you're doing. But I will tell you that has become invaluable because now all of a sudden you become seen as a thought leader because you can stand in front of a room and talk for 5 minutes.
You know what?
So,
Even if you don't have much value to offer because you're lower down the total, like even when I was young, like even when I was 17, 18 years old and all I had was $20 in my pocket and a motorcycle, I would still go to the coffee shop pretty much 4 nights, maybe 5 nights a week, meet up with my friends. We'd shoot the shit in the parking lot. We'd race down, the old bypass where there was no places for cops to hide. And we just go back and grind each other's gears, grab a coffee, smash a few donuts, shoot some more shit, talk to girls, all that stuff. Just get in the habit of being social and networking with people and continue to do that. Even if you're introverted, like I'll be honest with you guys, like sometimes you might think that, oh, that's very easy for you to say, but again, I'm being perfectly honest. I'm very introverted. Like I actually prefer my own company. I don't like large crowds. I was never big on the nightclub scene, even though I spend a lot of time in it. I just like tight groups of good people is what my preference is, which is one of the reasons why I actually put together my community was because I wanted to build something where like-minded guys could get together and chop up ideas. And we've been improving it, every year as it goes on. Yeah, but it starts somewhere for everybody, right, Jay?
Yeah, I am a firm. This is one of the things that when I tell folks, like if I could do my real estate business all over again, starting day one, I would have started up a meetup group to talk about. Even though I was brand new in the business, didn't know what I was doing, but the fact that you can just send out an email, put a post on social media, and get everybody in a room and talk about it is invaluable. And I'll tell you this: this is a big misconception. There is a belief out there that folks that are at a much higher level don't want to help the guys that are coming up. And that's absolutely not true. A lot of times, at least what I found and what's been my experience is, you put in a little bit of effort, the folks that are ahead of you absolutely love to mentor guys coming up because most people don't want to do the work. Mm-hmm. And they talk to plenty of people like, oh, I'd love to be as rich as you. I'm like, okay, well, this is how you do it. And they're like, whoa, wait a second. I don't want to do that. Well, okay, well, you don't get all the cool stuff. So, putting those groups together, even if you're a guy that's not really accomplished yet, you can learn a lot. And like I said, you can create some really great contacts from guys that are way ahead of you that are willing to mentor you along and teach you, how not to make the same mistakes they did.
I don't know if you guys read the 4-Hour Workweek, but Tim Ferriss basically opens that narrative, with the story that, he got into what he got into by basically volunteering at nonprofits in Silicon Valley, sleeping in his mom's minivan. I don't even think he took a paycheck, to begin with. So it's like, just putting yourself in rooms where there's legends is a good way to start. The stuff that Jay talks about with, successful people not wanting to mentor people that are unsuccessful or unknown. You've got to be careful with that because some of these guys really value their time, and quite often what they'll end up hearing, and I'm sure all of you have heard this at some point, where somebody will message you or DM you and it's like, hey, here's my problem. I want to pick your brain. And you're okay with doing that until it happens like 200 times, right? Or 20 times, at some point you're like, okay, whoa. I've got to protect my time and I have to put some sort of like filter in place. So when you find that happens as a guy that's a few notches down on the totem pole and you're trying to level yourself up and get yourself in those other network rooms, it's really important to lead with value. Like, don't just show up and be like, hey guys, here's my problems, and just barf it all up everywhere. Show up with some value and try to add something to their business, their community, their lives before you try to take. Because what a lot of really successful people hear when they hear, hey, I want to pick your brain, is they hear, I want to steal your time and pick your wallet, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a really good point. And that's one of the reasons why we started doing meetup groups in our radio show and all that other stuff. Hey, I want to pick your brain. Call a radio show.
Right.
Or show up to the meetup group.
That's exactly what I do, because I get DMs now, Jay, and I'm like, you know what? You've got 2 options. You can either book me for private coaching or call in on my Unplugged Alpha show, right? Because it gives me content. It also gives them an opportunity to talk to me for free too, right?
Yeah, and it's like there's all these different ways for. Well, no, I want to have a sit down. I'm sure you get a million more than I do, but I get it all the time. Instagram, Facebook, and then email. Hey, I need you to call me. I'm like, what are we going to talk about? Oh, we
Who
need
are
to talk
you?
about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, we need to talk about X, Y, and Z. I said, well, we do 30 events a month now. It's kind of now I'm not at all those. I'm not at most of them, but we do 30 events a month, and we do a radio show every day. Like you can just call in, send an email, talk about it on the show, right? And then if they can't, now this is where it gets interesting, Rich, and I'd love to get y'all's take on this. If they can't follow those directions on how can I put this? They can't follow the directions on where I want to apply my value, then I know we're not going to be doing business together. Like
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a
this
filter.
is not going to work. Yeah, absolutely.
Dude, it's a total filter. Like I'll say, call in on my TUA show, stands for the Unplugged Alpha. You know, you can see, I mean, I can see it on my StreamYard thing, number 21. And then when they say something like, what's that? Or when's the show? It's like, really? Like you're just some fucking troll, you know, sitting around on some social media platform, randomly messaging strangers you don't know for advice on your dumb choices in life. Like you haven't actually watched any of my freaking content.
Mm-hmm.
I love it when Rich goes, "Did you read my book?" And these guys are always like, "No."
But that's the big lesson and takeaway is that no matter what level you're at, if you're trying to still like level up, you have to pay to play. And it's not necessarily like with, you know, money. Sometimes, yeah, it is money, but other times it's with time, it's with research, it's with putting in the work. But there's no such thing as a free lunch, and like you have to pay to play. So, right, if you want to get in the room with Rich, either hey, sign up and all right, let me see if you got skin in the game or you're about it, or hey, you said you read my book. All right, tell me what's in, you know, chapter 10. Okay, good. You've done your homework. So you have to provide some type of value, but there's always a price. And so if you think that you can kind of skirt by and, you know, get the most out of things without like having to pay some type of toll, it's like, nope, it's just the fundamental rule of the universe. Like you got to pay to play.
Yeah. So, I mean, Josh is a cool guy. Like I met up with him in LA a few years ago when I did a bit of a trip with my kiddo. And it's like, you know, the guy's connected. Like he knows everybody at the high end exotic car dealerships. He knows the restaurants to go to. He knows the roads. Like he's got the connection. So how did you build up that network in, you know, that area of your life? Like how did that work out for you? How'd you do that? Because not everybody starts like that, right?
Oh yeah, and I mean, I definitely did not start off like that whatsoever. But it kind of goes back to I think 50 Shades said it best. It's really about business game, right? And so all the aspects and principles that you take from game, you want to apply it in a business sense. And like such things as spinning plates, for example, is a very very critical component to it. But the way I always treat things is that you know, and people ask me, what do I do? Because I'm a consultant, and I tell people, you know, I'm just a guy that is the middleman between people with problems and people with solutions. And that's really what it is. So in business professionally, I do that. I get large checks for it. It's nice. But also in the social scene, the social circles, right? So if you need a restaurant recommendation in the car world, that's where I really got my start was out in the car scene because I'm a huge car guy. And so, you know, now I'm so well connected. Like whenever anyone hits me up for a car, I ask, okay, well, what do you want? I can get you literally anything from a Toyota Corolla on the simple side to an allocation for Bugatti because there's only about 40 Chiron allocations left. So if you want one, let me know. And anything in between that spectrum. But it goes by adding a lot of value. And again, just recognizing where you can start being a bit of a matchmaker, right? Where you can pair up different people that have different interests and different insights. So a good example of this was I was up in Monterey for Car Week. And I got my invite to the Bentley, the hospitality villa. So I'm there. There's a very nice, elaborate display of Macallan. And so you know you're at a very well-to-do event when Macallan, I was listening to this Macallan 12, or the Macallan 25, sorry, which is about $2,500 a bottle starting. That was the cheap stuff that they were just using to make cocktails with. So, you know, we're there, we're talking, befriend this one guy, just, you know, start talking, just asking like, hey man, you know, you meet some interesting people, just regular, genuine conversation, right? And so the next thing you know, he's pouring me some of this Macallan M Black, which comes in this crystal bottle. And so it turns out it's like about 10 grand for a bottle of this stuff. And it is phenomenal, definitely phenomenal. But it's like, okay, you happen to be down in my neck of the woods. Okay, well, let's make something happen. Let's keep in touch. So, you know, a couple of weeks go by. I get an email from him saying, hey, I'm doing this little private tasting, but I've got a charity fundraiser, right, where I'm trying to, he's going to do like a 5K and raise some money. So if you want to come to this event, right, it's going to be like $100 a person. So I'm like, okay, I got, I'll take my mom to get a couple friends out. So, do charitable donation, have a great little time. It's a good little event. And I could have been cheap and been like, well, I don't want to pay like $100 for it, but it's like, no, you know what? He's a genuine guy. He's got something that he is really important to him. All right, we can see how we can make our mutual interests line up, or just at the very core of it, right? Just come from a genuine place of, hey, I think he's a cool dude and we're going to do something fun. So we go to do the event. We have a good time. Turns out his wife is a big choreographer for a lot of dance groups. And one of my business partners, he's actually launched a new Cirque du Soleil type show down here in LA. So it's like, hey, you know what? You guys should come out and enjoy the show. It'll be on me. I can get you guys comp tickets. Everything can be set up, because I already was going to buy a couple tables anyway to support my friends. And that's another thing that you want to do, right? If your friends and your business partners, if they have events or they have businesses, you want to be an active investor, whether you're helping them promote on social media, whether you're supporting them financially. There's a lot of different things that you can do. And so again, it's about providing that value and pairing up like people. So the folks in the McAllen thing, they came out, they had a great, fantastic time. And then the next thing I know, I'm getting invited to this very, very high-end dinner at one of the most high-end restaurants in Los Angeles. So we're being wined and dined, and it turns out they're releasing a brand new bottle or new expression of McAllen, which isn't due out for another couple months. And then the next thing I know, I'm wind up with 2 bottles of this unreleased McAllen before the market even gets it, as a thank you for showing up. And it's all because I recognize, hey, this guy's a cool guy. He has an interest in this. This will be a fun thing for them to do. So again, just pairing it up. But the biggest thing I have to say is just, you got to be authentic about it. Like if you are not authentically vibing or getting along with people, I think it was Warren Buffett who said it best. He said, it doesn't matter what business I'm in, as long as I like the people I'm working with, then we can always do business together. So you got to be genuine, you got to be authentic, but you also, again, have to make those investments, right? So if I didn't spend the $300 there, I'm not getting a bottle of, well, he's probably giving me at least like $3,000 in alcohol already, just comp. But again, it's all these little things these little investments that you make, and they can yield so many large returns. And the other side of the equation too is if you have guys that are coming up and guys that are trying to really pick your brain and understand and become kind of like your sort of mentees, right? Like treat them right. Like one of my business partners, who's a very, very sharp, very smart guy, been in the Navy for a while, got out. He came up to Car Week with me, and he was kind of on the fence about like coming down to hang out to LA to to see some of these folks who were working on this mutual project together, just because he had a couple things and obligations back home where he lives in Hawaii. So I told him, hey man, I will pay for your hotel. Come down. We're going to have a good time, right? So pay for the hotel for a couple days, pick up in a Lamborghini on the first day, going around, blasting the canyons, having fun, getting lunch, go out, hang out with some girls, have some dinner. Then the second day we actually meet our team. We get a lot more production out of him because of his headspace of where he's at. So it's when you make these investments in people, you're going to see the amount of returns that you're going to get. And it's also too, right? Like by showing him such a great time, the guy will go to war for me, right? If I say, hey, let's go rob a bank over here, all he's going to say is, all right, what time and what caliber of bullet do you need, right? So that's how you also build and gather that sense of loyalty, and you really can foster kind of your own private army. And again, when you're coming from that authentic mutual value exchange, guys are going to start throwing stuff at you that you would never even see coming, whether it's investments, whether it's events, whether it's opportunities. It's come from a very authentic place. And really, so yeah, a lot of it is really just come from an authentic place and again, make those investments, whether it's in the people that you're trying to reach and get access to, or the people that are trying to get access to you and that you really have a good sense and have vetted on the come up.
Yeah, and Josh, check the private chat. There's a message there from 50 Shades. He wants to chat with you about something. Menshine, you're up, buddy. So networking.
All right.
How's that worked out for you in your life? Like, how did you level up on each stage, sort of thing?
I'm thinking back. I think one, it's hard to follow these guys because they all give good answers, and I can identify with many points of those. But two, to be honest, the reason I joined your group, Rich, was because a lot of guys come into your group looking for the dating stuff, the girl stuff, some fitness stuff. But I came in because I originally started watching your channel for the entrepreneurs in cars. I'm like, well, I want to have these conversations, hang out with these kind of guys. At that point, I was far enough into my red pill journey to where the women thing wasn't really a problem anymore for me, and now it's really not a problem. So
Yeah, you're like one of the generals in the group. Like you're always dispensing solid advice to people when they're doing field reports now.
So yeah, so I was in your group. I was a fly on the wall for like a year, and I thought, well, I came in here to meet. I came in here for my guy game, to meet good guys, to build a network, to join the tribe. But I felt like I didn't have anything to offer. And then I saw guys keep posting the same questions about going through divorces or breaking up with girlfriends and not knowing what to do or how to do their dating profiles. And I thought, well, I used to have all these problems, and now I don't. Not only do I not have these problems, I'm very happy with that aspect of my life. But the networking kind of finance business aspect, I need to work on that. So that's what attracted me to the group. And I just figured, I've worked in digital marketing and sales my entire life. So I figured, okay, just do what I do in my career, add massive value on the front end, and maybe opportunities will come up. And sure enough, got invited on this panel and then got invited on the Miami trip. And from the Miami trip, I met connections, and I've had people DM me even here in Mexico City, like, oh, hey, my dad owns a clothing shop. Can he fit you? Or, oh, hey, do you want to come to this Televisa event? I've gone to like 3 red carpet events now. I don't think they know my name, which is hilarious, but I'm like hanging out with Mexican actors and actresses and stuff. It's insane. So this is all very new to me, which is why I like coming on these shows, or I'm working with new guys in the group. Like I met Moff in person in Miami, JB in Miami, Charles in Miami. We've been working on little side things, conversations. Charles and I did a research project. Moff and I are doing stuff on stereo. JB and Moff and I, we're going to launch something here this week. So really, it's just opening a ton of doors for me. But I feel like I'm in year 7 of my red pill journey, like in the dating aspect. I feel like I'm in year 1 in my business networking, whatever journey, but it's already paying dividends. I'm looking to pick up some more contracting work. And I thought that putting my name out there, putting my face out there, especially talk about red pill topics, might blacklist me, but it's actually done the opposite. I'm getting a lot of people, they're saying like, hey, I Googled you. I have a very Googleable name, and I show right up. And they're like, hey, we like what you're doing. Like, and they're not too worried about the content. They're like, hey, how do you go about making the content? How do you put these content clusters together? Who did your site? Or how do you get on these shows? I'm like, wow, okay. So here I am talking about that I'm trying to figure out what value to add, but I have people reaching out to me because they already see me doing something that they can't do and they want to know how to do. So really for me now, it's just a mindset shift. Just keep that process going.
Yeah, let's talk about the whole good name, because the problem with the Mana Swamp is it really creates a bad name for a lot of people. And sorry, no, let me rephrase that. It doesn't create bad names for people. People create bad names for themselves just because of the way they behave and what they do. Your name's your brand, right? I mean, Jason Bible, Mr. Texas Real Estate, like that's a brand, right? Like Rich Cooper, Entrepreneurs in Cars, like we all have names and a brand, in that sense. And you've got to be able to like recognize that people are going to go looking for more information on you. I mean, you can go looking as far back as you want on me. There's lots of stuff on the internet on me. There's front page of the business section, Toronto Star, for one of Canada's fastest growing companies. I've got awards for office culture. I've got awards for all kinds of stuff in my business, right? It's like, I exist on the internet because I did stuff before I started pressing, go live or upload on YouTube, right? Like that being a somebody matters with the whole clout aspect, and you have to protect that. And not enough guys recognize the importance, especially when you're networking, because it's like, if they hear, hey, there's a real estate event in Arizona, for example, and there's this guy, Jason Bible, who's known as Mr. Texas Real Estate, they're going to Google your name. Like, they're going to want to know what's up with you. And if they find stuff on you that's, not particularly flattering, maybe you get an uninvite. Maybe you're not going to be able to rub elbows with somebody at the event, or, somewhere in between that could be beneficial to you. It's really, really important to protect your name, right?
Yeah, and the way I think about it now in the professional sense, because I was really nervous, and there's a lot of guys in your group. There's guys on the show now like, hey, I want to stay anon. That's completely fine. I definitely get it. There are implications to that depending upon what industry you're in. But I got to the point where I'm like, you know what? I already do this in my dating life, where I put all the pre-qualifiers on the front end. Like I knock these girls out of the running real quick. I want to do that in my professional life too. I don't want to get in these conversations, or worse yet, get into a partnership with someone, which a partnership is essentially a marriage, and then realize, oh, this person sucks, or there's something about me they don't like that we should have snuffed out on the front end of this whole conversation. So I decided, like, I'll just be authentic, and then anything I say here on YouTube, anything I publish, it's not anything I wouldn't say to someone's face. It's not something I wouldn't say to my mom's face, my grandma's face. It's someone I respect. It's not something I wouldn't say to Rich's face, or Moff, you and I, go off on people, or not each other, but we'll do like constructive criticism and stuff. It's nothing that I wouldn't put out there anyways. And a lot of times I remind guys, like, okay, yeah, you're on YouTube, you get X amount of followers, but it's no different than going out and going to a speaking engagement and having that many people sitting in a room. It's the same stuff, I'd say. So I decided to go for it, and I'm actually glad I did. I think the way I'm positioning myself, it's not. I've had a couple people reach out like, "Oh, you're anti, or you're not going to get the vaccination because your mom had Guillain-Barré. You're a terrible person. We don't want to work with you." I'm like, "Okay, well, I don't want to work with you." So I'm glad you brought that up. I'm really glad.
It makes it real simple.
Yeah, so I'd rather have people type in Jaron Scott, see something like, "Oh, that guy sucks. I don't want to ever talk to him," and then me not even know about it, rather than get into a business relationship and then have a problem.
Talk about how you guys organized the Miami trip, because that just happened like within the last month. Did you guys post photos somewhere? I think it ended up on a public Instagram somewhere. Can I just put it up on the screen to show guys like the public ones?
Oh yeah.
Who's all got it on their profile?
I know I've got a couple. Moff's got a. Yeah, I think all you guys have stuff up.
Yeah. Who's got the best collection, so I can just go to one profile?
Probably
Moff, you think you got the? Yeah, Charles, you think you got the best ones on there?
I always have the best ones.
I only
What
have
happened?
2 picks.
All right, so let's promote Charles. So it's Tango Duquista.
Ducatista.
Yeah, and this will be a good example of there's a lot of this is how you do a high value this and that.
Yeah,
no, this is like really how you do it.
Ferrari and the Ducati Monster.
It's Tinder optimized.
Yeah, it's definitely it's definitely Tinder optimized. There's let's pull this over a little bit and make it a little bit bigger. So where's the Miami shots? That was from Miami, right? You guys rented a Ferrari on the bike. Yeah. That was a house that you guys picked up, right?
That's right. That's the R8 on the background from Adam. I was about to go take a ride.
There's a couple of boys at the event right there.
Yeah, fine gentlemen. You overshot. I actually didn't post that many.
What did they do? Did they just drop off the bike for you?
No, I sold it. They came and.
Oh, that was the one you sold. Okay, because it looks exactly the same as the one you rented.
So that one with the Ferrari and the Ducati.
Yeah.
And then we had a photo shoot, which is the most recent. I don't post that frequently.
Rich, pull up the one in the private chat. That's the group shot with me holding the book up.
Yeah.
Okay, let's drive. Oh, yeah. Okay, here we go. Yeah, we're good to show this. Share.
I bet we dumped most of the photos in the group. I'm looking at my Instagram. I really didn't post that much when we were there.
Yeah,
I posted like 2 or 3.
And that place was on the water too. It was a really, really nice crib. We had another guy that was supposed to make it out with us that had a yacht, but timing didn't work out for him. But
Rich,
talk about putting that together.
Yeah, there's a phrase by another Marcus Aurelius quote: "Idea, utterance, action." So you come up with the idea, you speak it, and then you do it. So I've been down there last New Year's in Miami, and I thought it was a real good city, really fun place. And then some of the guys were down in the Caribbean. And we just threw it up there. Hey, who wants to go? And then somebody in the network in our group stood up and said, okay, someone's got to take an executive decision here. I've booked the house. Put your money up. Post your money up, guys. And that's literally how it happened.
Yeah.
And, it was, again, what Renegade went back to hosting these dinners. This was literally like it. We would all gather around the either the pool or the kitchen and start networking within this house. Just small little things. People started to find out who's doing this, what field you're in, what where your issues are, and just a very small thing. I had one of the group call me the other night, and he said, "I need to know how to make your breakfast tacos." Okay, this is a guy worth a lot of money, and he calls me up and I need to know how you make your breakfast tacos. I'm like, cool. Well, when I need to know what Bitcoin to buy or what next coins emerging, I'm going to be calling him. Yeah. There's guys that we met there who were like, just give me your weight, give me your routine. I'll write a diet and I'll write a gym schedule for you. Just like that. Guys who are absolutely experts in it, you can tap into anybody. Look at Charles. Anybody who's got a question about motorcycles, they touch base with Charles. Even the way my brain's thinking at the moment. I was back in Ireland last week. One of my old classmates is the head of software sales for Northern Europe for a very big software company. I'm thinking, you know what? Moff and him may have something in common. I might connect them together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like we don't talk about a lot of like everything publicly when we get together and do one of these collabs, but it's like pretty much anything I want to get or get done, I can get it done within this community that I've built. And I'm sure you guys have found the same sort of contacts, amongst yourselves, whether it's something as simple as how to make the breakfast tacos that 50 Shades is world class at, all the way to, hey, maybe I need a medical facility or medical treatment that I can't get here. Can you hook me up with this? And it's like, things happen, or something with crypto or finance or investing or whatever. There's all kinds of things that come up, but it's like you actually have to make the effort to get into the groups and the networks and like be friendly and bring value to people and be useful and, social and stuff like that and help them solve problems. I mean, that's all I've really done with my channels. I've just been uploading. I mean, there's well over 1,000 videos. They're all free, and there's nuggets in each one of them. It's like, my way of kind of giving back. So you have to always sort of lead with value. I just want to throw up Akhtar's comment here because he's over on Facebook. Still, dude, you got to come over. You got to come over to the new forum that we built. He says, hey guys, loads of gold nuggets here. I'm looking to level up a new peer group. I'm relocating to Central London for my coaching business and looking for investors in real estate, M&A deals. Looking to get a private members club, usually only any tips. Dude, you got to get into the forum page over on Zenforo, man. Talk to Velchko. He's, he'll get you hooked up if you didn't see the announcement over on the private group. Because for those of you watching that aren't familiar, because you're not, we moved off of Kuckerberg's group because we didn't like it, and it was too censorship prone. There was too many people. Like you'd like do a post and like you'd get banned for a week just for saying random shit. You'd have a conversation with your friends anywhere. So it's like forget that. We moved over to a censorship resistant platform. That's a lot better for us now. But yeah, thanks, Charles.
I want to talk about Miami real quick. Just
go ahead, man.
My takeaways. So I mean, so 50 Shades was the pioneer of it, and then he kind of brought me in and. We would talk about it. We did a lot of the planning. Hats off to him, and then some other guys that actually put their money down about finding a place. But a couple of things that were really big takeaways is that I think one of the things 50 Shades had mentioned to me in passing was he tried to do this many times before with many different groups. This is the first time that he could actually ever get it done. So part of this is we were able to get guys together that were able to put their money where their mouth is and actually commit and do stuff and get together. I mean, it definitely talks a lot about, to Renegade's point as well, about, being somebody that people want to be around. I think that what gets lost a lot when we talk about networking is the idea, like, you got to be socially calibrated. I mean, you can have all the money in the world and have all the connections, but if people don't want to be around you, if you don't pass the beer test, or people want to spend some time with you after work and grab a drink, it doesn't matter. People just aren't going to want to be around you, right? Be a likable guy. Be a guy that people are going to want to be around with, bust balls with, and joke around with. And the final thing too, and this is something that JB and I talked about a lot, because we decided on the next location for the meetup in Nashville come February because we were there. Now, there's some folks that couldn't travel due to, Rich, yourself notwithstanding, but there's something to say about guys that are out in the world and that are in the game and that are around when stuff is happening. So it was really interesting to me going back and saying, hey, we decided on another meetup coming up February. It's going to be Nashville. And all these guys are like, well, can we do it here? Can we do it somewhere else? Can we do it there? It's like, no, you weren't part of the planning. You weren't in Miami. Stuff happens. Good things happen when you're out in the world getting stuff done, man. So just being there is 90% of it.
To build on Bob's point, you really have to, see who's got skin in the game. And that's where kind of tying it back to, that it's all business game, right? And so one of the things you got to do, is you got to have a shit test. So anytime I'm with guys that are new to me or my group, and they want to, we want to do an event, or hey man, let's do like this event, or let's throw this like party, or do this or the other. The first thing I say is, all right, cool, everyone, let's all throw in $100 and see what our budget is. Very, very quickly with that little shit test right there, you see, all right, who's going to be, I can't do this, that, or the other, or who's just like, all right, cool, great, let's see what we can work with. Then it's like, okay, great, now I know what we can work with.
That'll separate the wheat from the chaff, right? Like you'll get the guys that are serious about investing in the community, investing in the group. And I mean, like, that's the other thing too, right? Like if you form a tribe, which is what we've done here, with our community, you've got to draw a perimeter around it and be there for the guys in the tribe. And it's an us versus them thing always. Like, I don't care how you want to slice it and dice it, but that's, it's straight out of Jack Donovan's work. And I'm drunk on that Kool-Aid when it comes to us versus them, and, becoming a barbarian and all that sort of stuff. It's like, you've got to work with your boys and you got to have their back. And it's like, you can chop it up, you can bust each other's chops and have fun, but it's like, if you're needed, be there, and, the same thing back and forth. I mean, you've always got to make sure that you serve these guys in such a way that you're useful to them and you're useful to yourself, and you just it's just paying it forward. It's just kind of passing it around, right?
Moff, what I think is so funny about those guys that go back and forth on we should go here and we should go there, I'm like, you don't even understand the point. Like all the city and stuff is just kind of a sideshow to what really goes on, just to break up all the other stuff we're doing. I'm like, rest assured, with this group of guys, you're going to have one of the best times in your entire damn life. It doesn't matter where it's going to be. So these guys get wrapped around. I got to go here. I got to go there. I'm like, you don't get it, bro. Like,
no, they don't want to go. They don't want to go is basically what they're saying, right?
We booked flights already, like a month ago. We're in. We don't care. We're going.
Yeah. By the way, the gal from
and that's how you can tell who's in and out.
Yeah, and it's like we're gonna have a good time.
For the STK, I got you guys covered.
I've got
the private chat.
Okay.
Well, I should be able to make that one. I'll be booking my ticket.
For the Miami trip, half of us, I think, we're worried that, like, okay, Miami's one of those cities like a Vegas. Like, whenever I go there for business, I know I'm going to need a day after to recover, and, like, maybe a lot of business is getting done. So we were all real worried about, like, hey, this is it's like a men's retreat. We're going to do this. We did have our circle. We sat down, told our origin stories. We did do a lot of networking. And one thing I really got out of the trip, because I was one of those two, like, oh, God, I've been a minimalist all year, and I live in the third world. I was living in El Salvador at the time. Mexico's more of a developing country. But I'm like, this is a lot of money for me, because, like, based on how I've lived the last year and a half of my life. But then I realized after the fact, like, okay, whatever the house was, whatever, I was probably all in for like $2,000. It's really not a lot, because I made like 30 friends out of it. Since I've gone red pill, my red pill experience has been getting better with women, and then slowly getting rid of guy friends as I outgrow them and shedding them away. And then, Rich, as you said earlier, I think JB, you said it. I got to the point where, like, okay, not only am I the smartest guy in every room I walk into, but most of the time I'm by myself all the time, and I'm having a really hard time making guy friends. Like, I'm not antisocial at all. It's just I don't like being around most people, because most people don't have much to offer. They're not that interesting, or they have problems that I don't want to take on in my life. So fast forward to Miami. Here I am. We're sitting in this like mansion. It's a porn star mansion. Sterling Cooper had it in one of his videos. We saw it on the show. He's like, oh,
somebody sent me a note from Instagram with a picture of him on our. I'm like, wait a minute, that's our
like,
pool.
Those walls can talk, man.
I immediately
That was your bedroom, Jason.
Did anybody ask him if he did a shoot there, or was it just like a social thing?
Somebody needs to shoot him a DM, because I'd love to know.
Yeah, you should.
I'll ask him.
Rich, you should hit him up.
Can...
Be like, yeah, you should hit him up, man. If those walls could talk.
I immediately text Vic and told him to get an AIDS test.
Well, I'm pretty sure I'm the only one. I'm pretty sure I'm the only one that got any action on that trip, but that's for another time.
That's the thing, right? You put in $2,000, but I bet you'll probably make about $200,000, right? After all the connections and everything, like you were really break it down and tally it up. So, if you guys are worried about that, like, hey, this is going to cost X amount, stop looking at, hey, what is the cost of this? And look at, all right, what is the potential value I get out of it? If I tell you
that was May 29th, so that's like the yard and the pool of the place you guys were at.
Yeah. There's that tiki. I recognize it.
I'll shoot him a message.
What Renegade, guys, what Renegade is saying about you don't know what's going to come out of a connection. And you guys can believe this one or not believe it. I'm Irish. I know I run my mouth. But I had as you guys know, a lot of my business is done by socially meeting people out and about in high-end bars, restaurants in Washington D.C. And I had a pretty well-connected girl come up to me once, and she said, "Look, I know this is like two or 3 years ago." She goes, I know you run your mountain, you're always having a nice glass of whiskey in your hand, but she said, "Did I hear you say that you knew the Queen of Spain's sister?" And I mean, to anyone off the face, that's like the biggest load of crap you've ever heard in your life. And I said, "Well, I don't know her, but I've been out drinking with her." I said, "Why?" She goes, "I need to get into this really exclusive Catholic school in Spain." I said, "All right, I'll make a call." Guess what? The girl sat on the board. 3 months later, we had these two connecting with each other, and she got into the school. And just back to Renegade's point, you don't know how many degrees of separation people are until you start becoming a node, and then you become a force multiplier. You know 10 more people who know 10 more people, and everyone is, again, business game. It's not talk.
Everything is always a networking, a game opportunity, right? So it's like when you're out and you go to the coffee shop or you go to the library or you go to the club, right? You're going to talk to girls everywhere. Well, same thing. You go out to dinner, talk to everyone at the restaurant. I have one restaurant that I go to that I like the food and I thought it was awesome. So I just wound up, talking, schmoozing, and then it winds up, they offered me an investment opportunity. I started looking at the list, and there's a lot of A-list, high-profile athletes, celebrities, and everything that are already active investors in this restaurant, which I would have no idea if I would just treat it like, oh, okay, I'm just going to a restaurant. I have a good time. I eat my food, and I go and I leave. It's like, no, that's a huge network opportunity. Mm-hmm. So, follow whatever it is you're looking for, follow it. Are you looking for money and affluence? Go to some affluent areas and restaurants, right? And start networking there. Get to know the people that work in that industry. Because again,
let me just give you guys a quick visual here on like the leveling up process. Like it kind of goes like this, right? Like it's a stepping up sort of process, and it's like as your network sort of improves, like it's like the tide raises the ship, right? So it's like a step-by-step process of getting into different rooms with different peoples and different organizations. Like when I started my very first business, like 20 years ago practically now, I didn't have Entrepreneurs Accelerator program. I didn't have Entrepreneurs Org. I didn't have a business coach. The very first thing that I got introduced to was something called BNI, which in hindsight sucks. I don't know if it's still around today. Do you guys know? BNI, it's something like business networking, something or another. And it was like, all it did was it put me in a room with a drywaller, a plumber, a dental hygienist, I don't know, some nail salon chick, and like one or two other people from random trades. And it's like, all they really did was like, hey, this is what I did. Here's my card. If you know anybody that needs this, I'd love to, offer them a 10% discount or something like that. It was like, okay, well, that wasn't a great use of my time, but it was the starting point. And then one of the guys in that group, I kept in touch with. We grabbed lunch, and it's like, we had some conversations, and I learned about this magazine in Toronto called Profit Magazine, and every year they do a fastest growing companies list, and they're like, the dude's telling me, he's like, yeah, your business is growing really fast. Why don't you apply to get on the list to see if they'll give you the award, right? Because if you get on the list and you go to a gala event, and then you're in the room with the other 50 or 200 people, depending on what the award was, and now you have an opportunity to network with them. It's like, okay, cool idea, right? So from BNI, which was a crap experience personally, but led to a one-on-one experience, which then led to apply for this list, then go to the gala, get on the award list, win, meet 50 other people. That's also where I met my business coach, and I hired him. And then, like the things just kept leveling up from there, right? So, I mean, you just have to keep, throwing yourself into it and putting yourself in environment and places that give you an opportunity to, be in better and better rooms. By the way, guys, I dropped the join link. So if you have a question you want to ask the panel tonight or me or whatever, it's pinned to the top on YouTube. If you're watching elsewhere, let me just grab the YouTube link and I'll just drop it in the general chat. So it goes to Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook and all that. So just click that and head on over to YouTube. It's pinned to the top.
Also, what you guys should do is take note of like Rich Cooper's example, right? Where if you are in a room and you keep going to different rooms and you don't like them, you can create your own room, right? And so you can host your own events, right? You can create your own networking opportunities with, hey, I want to meet these types of people or individuals. All right, I'm going to host a different type of meetup. Like I went to a bunch of different car events, and a lot of them I didn't like because there was a bunch of dudes just standing around in the parking lot saying, oh my gosh, like my car is like so cool. It's like, all right, well, we can always just stand around a garage like all day, but I want to like go for a drive. I want to get some food. I want to like get the social juices flowing. So I just created my own social events and basically ran my own car club for about a good 5 years. So my absolute best friends to this day, I've met just by doing that. And so, again, if you're not happy or satisfied with what's currently going on, don't be afraid to go take that risk, because I'll give you this 2 key tips. If you ever want to like create your own cult or anything like that, you want to get a good solid following, give people a vision and show them a good time. And I mean, that's basically like what's, it's been done with this group, like with the guys that went on the Miami trip, right? There was a vision that, hey, we're all going to come here, we're going to get together, we're going to bring some value. And they also had a very phenomenal time. And after that, everyone's bonded like brothers. So don't be afraid to formulate what that vision is, but also create your own space and show people a good time.
The other thing too is you want to always under promise and over deliver whenever you set up something. So if you're like, I'm setting up this dinner, like a mastermind event, like a mastermind dinner, for example, you wouldn't want to give away too much. Okay, so let me put it this way. It was about 2 months ago. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you would have seen the post, but I went out for a drive on a Tuesday. And it just started in like a group chat. So I'm in a WhatsApp group chat with a bunch of guys from like the Supercar Club in Toronto. And it's kind of like a subgroup. And the guy goes, hey, we're going to do a drive next Tuesday out to Niagara-on-the-Lake. We're leaving from this location at 9 a.m. for the day. And it was just assumed by everybody in the group that all we're going to do is we're going to meet up conventionally, grab something to eat or a coffee, and then go and tear up the streets and raise havoc, grab some lunch at a winery, and then head back home. Only what ended up happening was there was 2 big surprises. So the 2 guys that organized it for the group, totally out of pocket just because it's something that they wanted to do. The first place that we stopped at was a racetrack, which we didn't know that we were going to. So they booked a racetrack privately for 2 hours. If you guys watch on YouTube, there's a 2 guys from Toronto. I think it's called the Smoking Tire. They were at the racetrack filming some car for like a YouTube video that they had to put out, and they had to throw them off the racetrack so that we could get on the track and use it, right? So we had it for 2 hours. We did a bunch of drag racing. We did some lapping. I got some video. I don't think I've actually published the video yet, but I got some video that I'm put out at some point, probably during the winter. And then we left from there, and then we went to the lunch spot, and then we go to the winery. It's like, okay, cool. We figured we'd just go to the restaurant. No, we had a private gazebo at the back, big surprise, with charcuterie boards and wine, and, the ladies were bringing us drink. We had like, private service and all that. Cool, awesome. We're just sitting there chopping it up, shooting the shit. Out of nowhere, these 2 guys with these striped yellow vests come out with like headphones on, with like, mics and all, boom mics and all that sort of thing. And they're like, all right, guys, so the helicopters are going to be here in about 10 minutes. So we need to tell you, what the safety protocol is. We're like, what the fuck, helicopters? Like, are you kidding? Like, you guys organize helicopters for us too? So it's like all of a sudden now these 2 helicopters land on the front lawn of the winery. We hop in, we go over the Niagara Falls. You guys can go to my stories. I think they're still there in the archive thing, but it's like under promise and over deliver when you get involved and network. And this is how high value men do things, right? It's like, hey, we're going to do something cool. And then when everybody shows up, they leave at the end of the day. Oh, and then on top of that, then we had an amazing dinner, private dinner at this restaurant. It was like it was like, I mean, I would have called it a Michelin star, but it wasn't. But it was phenomenal food. And then, we headed back home at like 9 o'clock at night. And that's how you want to do these things, right? Like you want to surprise people, like shock and awe them with pure awesomeness, basically, is what it boils down to, if that makes sense. Anyway.
So Rich, what you're saying is if I throw an event at my place in January, just say, hey, come over for some hors d'oeuvres and some beer. We're just going to hang out, shoot the crap. But instead it'll be Middleton Rare whiskey and some of my kick-ass cooking.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, you got to give us helicopter rides too.
Yeah, well,
Charles, that's only for commies that do free helicopter rides.
A couple of helicopters is like off the chart, sort of like, stuff that you don't expect. But, it's like, that's an extreme example of under promise and over deliver, because all we thought was going to be about a dozen guys, and everybody was totally fucking shocked, right? There was guys in a group that like found out afterwards, and they were kicking themselves. And dude, I was telling them, like, you need to structure your business so that you can on any given Tuesday, just not go to work and go and drive your car with everybody else. But all these guys are like, well, don't you have jobs, and I got to be there, and I got to da-da-da. Okay, fine. Have fun, doing your thing. And then at the end of the day, they're like, well, we missed out on the helicopter rides. We missed out on the dinner. We missed out on the racetrack. It's like, hey, sucks to be you guys.
Brian, I appreciate that Pinochet reference, and also Rich. It's a little hard to top your story. It's really awesome, but I feel like we've been talking a lot about entrepreneurship and social networking, and I just want to share for your audience who are working in the tech industry. There are two things that I think it helps a lot in getting a new job if you work in the tech industry, especially under a corporate structure. Number one is you want to game your recruiter, right? So there's a lot of headhunting company. There's a lot of people that are giving you cold calls on LinkedIn. You want to look for the ones that are in the top recruiting companies like Harnum, all these other companies. I won't advertise for them, but you want to look out for people who are fairly senior and high ranking, and they will give you cold calls. Over the course of my 15 or so career in high tech, these people are in there for life, and you can build a relationship with them. And the benefit of that is you will always get a first preview of whatever cool job they have that they are contracted with. So basically, you're never going to be out of a job. You just have to go to the interview. You have first front seat access. But the way to do it is you want to give them referrals from your own friends. I know if you start out as a college graduate or if you just got your MSc, you probably have a lot of coworkers who are working. Let's say you work in the back end. You work with Python. You work with TensorFlow. And they're looking for mobile developers, Android. So you have a few friends you hang out with in your social circle that would work with React, Node.js, or Angular. You refer them, right? And the other thing is, if you ever become a hiring manager, you want to work with them first. And you're not even paying them out of your own pocket. Your company is paying for them. And they take such a high commission. We're talking about 20%, 30% of the annual salary of the position they're trying to fill. So you're actually putting them on the front seat in terms of getting somebody into your company. And you're building a social network with someone else's money, right? So I've done this numerous times with, major employees in these companies, and they love me. They love me, and they come back to me like, hey, Charles, I know you're working for this company or you have your own company, but we would like you to have a look at this, right?
That's hugely important in any job that you're at, right? Is being able to game it and network, especially if you're in a corporate structure or whatever. If you work at Chick-fil-A, right? Talk to some customers, because guess what? People that can help you out and change the direction of your life, some of them like Chick-fil-A and will come in and get some Chick-fil-A. So,
well, it's especially valuable in headhunter in tech industry. I mean, the competition for good candidates who are competent, who will pass the technical, coding exams live, that's actually pretty hardcore. And there's big money for that. And the other thing I was going to say is be nice to your former employees, right? So I've worked with teams of 12, teams of 20, I have these direct reports. Be nice to them. So the first thing I tell people who I interview fresh is I work with software engineers, I work with data scientists. And if a project fails, if they didn't deliver, I know they're not lazy, right? Because they picked a hard subject to study in college. And they have committed themselves to a very difficult art, right? So I know they're not lazy. It's always something else. As a hiring manager, I need to find out. I don't make assumptions about, oh, they're stupid or they're lazy or whatever, like you would with all these other, kinds of jobs, Chick-fil-A, you guys were talking about. I don't make those. I go and find out, and I'm very nice to my employees. And they come back to me, right? I think there's about 12 of my former employees, they went to Google, evil empire and all that, right? And another 5 went to Amazon. I can get referrals. I don't want to work for those companies. I don't care, right? I want to work for me. But having these connections, it's great. I get to keep up with the latest development, the biggest trends that's going on in the field, right? And I also get connected through that. But and also, if you go to my LinkedIn, they have raving reviews for Charles, as a managing director, as a CTO, right? I know how to talk to people and get my employees to become very, very productive, because I don't just blame them. I mean, when they fail, it's me, right? and I think about what I did wrong first. So be nice to if you ever are in that position, be really, really nice to them, because that really pays off in the long run.
On the
Let me,
other side of that, I was just going to quickly say on the other
Yeah,
side
go
of
ahead,
that,
go ahead. Because I got some guys waiting here to ask some questions too.
yeah, never, no matter what job you're working at, never let a good boss go to waste. A good boss can teach you so much and can help you out in so many innumerable ways. So, I mean, because we've all had like some bad ones and we've all had some really good ones. Never, ever, ever let a good boss go to waste.
Yeah, you know
I
what?
take my employees with me half the time.
That's
Like,
that's
I'll
a
leave, they
really,
wanna
really
go.
good point that Josh just made there. I mean, like the last corporate job that I had working for the man, I think I was 29 or 30. It was here in Toronto, which was Equifax, which then turned into CBCL, and it was one of the largest agencies. There's probably about 400 or 500 people on the books, and the president of that branch decided to put together this mentoring program, and I got assigned to work with the president. Now, I didn't even think to ask for mentorship, but what I learned, being able to have an opportunity to sit with the president of a company that has 400 or 500 employees, multi-million dollar, like worth hundreds of $1,000,000 a year in revenue. I can't remember what the total annual sales was because it was tied into a U.S. branch as well. But being able to sit with him, and I probably spent a good 10 or 12 hours with him over a number of weeks, was invaluable. So if you have like a manager, a VP, a president, and they don't offer a mentorship program, which not all of them will, but ask, like why not say, hey, look, I love the company, I love the business. Graham really fascinates me. Can I go and, be mentored by him? Like, is there something that I can do to maybe like add some value to his day and like, work under him for a little bit? Just ask. I got a bunch of guys here in the waiting area. I think Caleb's got a question about skills, so let's give him a shot here. Caleb, how you doing, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good, actually. I'm having a good night. How are y'all?
Good, man. So what's your question for us?
So I see a lot of y'all, the high value men, I mean, they have skills and almost, habits that a lot of other people just don't have. And I was wondering about, as far as building habits and skills, what would y'all focus on as a high value man?
I would say discipline's probably the number one. Gumption and probably discipline. What would you guys say?
I mean, discipline is absolutely mission critical. But also, I'd say, right, you have to have an objective. So depending on what direction you want to go, those are the habits you want to focus on, right? So, okay. I mean, if you're going more down the fitness and route, then you have a specific plan for, hey, I want to get really big, or I want to get really lean, or hey, I want to run really fast or jump really high. So know kind of what your mission objective is, so that way you can kind of formulate some tailored specific habits. Because there's going to be very good general habits that you can have. But if you really want to separate yourself and you really want to get to the top or the peak of anything, you're going to have to specialize. So specialize in some particular set of habits for your end objective. That would be the way that I would go about approaching habits.
You know what I look for? Like honestly, if I'm interviewing somebody, I mean, I'm just going to say it. Like, I look at their physical state. If they're out of shape, if they're obese, like if they're not physically fit, then it's pretty much an automatic dismissal for me. Like if you don't have the discipline to sleep, work out, and eat properly, why would you do a good job for me?
I 100% agree.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying?
Yep. Workout is one thing. I will add, though, one of the greatest tests of self-discipline for a man is when you're at a night venue, like in a bar, and you see a very attractive woman you're attracted to, but then her boyfriend comes along and puts his hand on her back, and then it's over. Do you look back at her again? Do you look in that direction again? If you do that, you have no self-discipline. You just wasted a second in your life.
Right. I've definitely really started cracking down and shit like that lately. Like, not rejecting myself before somebody else rejects me, type stuff like that. And watching you has definitely helped me build that discipline and stuff. So
you should
really
only
appreciate that.
the people who like you back. In the end of the day, that's a kind of self-discipline.
I have that rule.
Only like and spend time with people that like you back.
All right.
Yeah, all my friends like me. It's crazy. I have one too.
Surprise,
that's a
eh?
little
We love you,
different.
Jared.
Weird.
I
man.
never had, yeah, I didn't realize that until the Miami trip. I was like, wow, I have like 30 friends now. Like, I haven't had 30 friends at any point in my life. This is amazing. Another one that I always say to guys too, especially I'm at the point in my career where younger guys are asking me for advice. I'm like, wait, I don't have any mentors, so that's a big reason I got in Rich's group too. But one thing I always tell younger guys is curiosity too. So you know something needs to be done. Renegade Wingman said a good one, objective. So like, for example, when I lost like 100 pounds years ago, I knew I had to lose the weight. It was literally physically holding me back. Rich, I agree with you because I've been obese and I've been 10% body fat and I'm probably like 10, 12 all times all year round, figure out how to maintain it. Your mind is different too. My mind is sharp. When I am in shape, my mind is on. When I'm out of shape, usually when you're eating crappy, you're drinking too, you're not sleeping well, like your mind is just slush. I call it slop in Rich's form. I was like, hey, if you're eating slop, you're going to think like slop, you're going to look like slop. But getting back to the main point is curiosity. So I knew, for example, I had to go down this fitness journey. I didn't know I was going to end where I'm at, and I actually surprised myself to this day. Every day I look in the mirror, I'm like, wow, I would have never imagined this 15 years ago. But have that element of curiosity in being that you don't know all the answers. A lot of guys get real dogmatic in the red pill space about red pill philosophy in their fitness. Like, I'm a vegan, I'm a CrossFitter, I'm a carnivore, I'm this or that. Try it all, take the elements that work for you, and then put it together in your own framework and then stick to it. And then consistency goes in hand-in-hand with discipline. It's great. I know a lot of guys like, oh, I'm going to get started on this fitness goal and I'm going to cut out all these things. I'm going to make these wild, radical changes. I'm like, hey, just cut out like one crappy meal a week first, or just, start slow, or just get to the gym. Just get in the habit of going there first, because if you do too much at once, you're going to burn yourself out. Your body's not going to be able to handle it, and you're going to set yourself up for failure. So I'd say curiosity and consistency are my two.
I would say that's one of the best pieces of advice that you can give anyone, and that like should be clipped right there. Is really the best habit you can have is make it your own. Because so many guys get caught up in trying to like be carbon copies of someone else, and that leads to that burnout or that frustration or whatever. So really, it is a phenomenal, like I'm going to clip that and just start showing it to some of my clients right now.
Nice.
Really
I did a
get in the
clip.
habit of
I don't have
making it
one
your
yet.
own.
All right. Well, thank you for the advice. That was good.
Yeah, and Caleb, just like last thing, a lot of guys make like very small plans. Like they have basic disciplinary sort of plans, like no FAP, like congratulations, you didn't touch your PP for a day. Well done. It's like make
Someone
like
else did.
like you're thinking, you might as well think big, right?
Think big.
Thanks, buddy. Yep. All right. I think we got JC. Looks familiar. He looks like the dude that was in last week with the girl situation that you wanted to make a plate. I think we made a clip out of that video. So is this a follow-up? So what happened? Yeah, I think it ended up on the Clips channel, if I'm not mistaken, from my editor.
Check that out. So Europe with their new restrictions got pretty much untenable. So we're actually headed to Puerto Rico for a week Wednesday morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're not going to Europe. So I mean, to kind of bring you guys up to speed. So JC was with this girl for a while. She had a whole bunch of red flags. They broke up. Now he's brought her into plate status, if I understand correctly.
Yeah.
So what question do you have for us tonight?
Well, actually, and I posted up here in the top here. I want to make sure it's clear. I don't have a question as much. I just wanted to give a really quick tip based on what you guys.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, if you got to share, go ahead.
So I'm going to give a story of an event that I threw that was so simple to put together that anyone listening can repeat in their local area. And I threw it one time a year and a half ago, and I still have people asking when I'm going to throw it again. And what it was, it started off, I did it twice. It started off small, called Suits and Whiskey. That's all it was. It was me plus 20 guys. And all we did was, we got our suits. There was a good whiskey bar down to, Charles, I heard you made your way to Denver, so you can come out to the next one here. That's where I'm at. He's always got the good stuff. Is that some Japanese whiskey there? All right, we'll talk about that in a minute.
Did you drink a third of that bottle just now?
Yeah.
I don't know, man, but I've been hearing like ice smashing the glass for the last hour.
He broke that out. He broke that out immediately when you guys started this. He broke it out immediately. It was great. All right, so anyway, it was just called Suits and Whiskey, me and 20 other guys, and we went and had a nice dinner, big group table. Went to a whiskey bar, and it was just the guys thing. And at some point, guys being guys, they're like, this is really cool. We should do this with women next time. And at first, I was a little hesitant, but here's what I did, and I think you guys might like this. I renamed the event Suits, Whiskey, and Women, right? Kind of rolled out the tongue anyway. And it was the same concept. It was 30 guys. But here's the way it was. It's a guys event, okay? So I only invite men. But each man that goes gets a +1. And on that note, they actually have to have a +1 woman in order to attend. Otherwise, they can't go. So this way it was 30 men, 30 women. Now, the men still had their dinner, just men, beforehand. And the women went and did their thing. And we didn't micromanage that. You know, a couple women are always going to kind of take over, and they did. You know, all the girls got ready and stuff, really formal at some girl's house, and they all scheduled dinner somewhere else. And then all the men and women met at 10 p.m. at the whiskey bar, and the men were there about a half an hour to an hour earlier so that we could still get down and sit down, get settled, have the whiskey ready, talk amongst ourselves. So it was really cool because we're all in suits. We roll up to this really nice restaurant. You know, we're 30 deep. You know, we got a whole section rented out. People are watching us. You know, then we go to the whiskey place and all the women show up in their dresses. We had a photographer. It was really cool. But why this was really awesome was that, for one, as from a selfish point of view, it put me in a room with a lot of other guys who were successful and enjoyed this type of event. That was one. Secondly, it also put me kind of in a position of authority and a little bit of popularity in it, because as time was leading up, a lot of women were like, hey, can I go to your event? And I said, listen, I might be hosting the event, but I only get 1 + 1. You got to go find one of the guys who doesn't have one and do that. And what I really liked about that is I got to hand off this, popularity to all the men in the group, because women started getting word of this event that they wanted to go to, and they're trying to track down guys who were invited, and they were just vying to be their +1. So there were women competing for my guys, and I had nothing to do with that. I could just say, hey, I can't invite women. I can invite one woman, and that's my woman. But if you want to go, you got to do this. And so it was such a great night. It was amazing, and it's a really easy event to put on. So Suits, Whiskey, and Women, guys only event, right? But they can bring a +1, but there is none of this, too many guys or too many girls stuff.
I have a challenge for you, JC. Make it a +2 next time. You want to improve the ratios.
All right. I like that idea. Okay.
+2, or you're not allowed to come.
I could get away with that. Not a problem.
And then the next time after you do it, it's a +3.
Well, if we start going to +4, I just might call it Suits, Whiskey, and Orgy.
I'll say that's going to turn into a different event real quick.
I got +5 at least.
I got a real cool story to share with you guys, actually, and I just thought of it as JC was talking. It kind of ties into it. So I mean, like, you can take this idea and kind of mash up the two, because in my company, like, we always needed to hire usually for the spring, because that was our busier season, and the winters here suck. Like, the winters here are long. They run from pretty much November, December, all the way up till March. So I decided to throw parties to hire people. So rather than throw like $5,000 at Indeed or some hiring agency online where people just like copied and paste bullshit, copy and paste. They never really looked at the job posting. They didn't really have an interest. They just wanted a job. They just wanted a paycheck. So I came up with this idea to throw an F winter party. Okay. And what we did was we themed it like tropical style Caribbean. There was tiki dresses and coconut boob things and all that sort of stuff. Lots of decorations, all that sort of thing. And what I did was I had my staff invite 2 people that were currently employed. They couldn't be unemployed. They had to be currently employed to our F winter party. We jam with them for the night. You work the room, you meet them all, you see what they're all about. And then at the end of the night, I would just stand up on the bar, because we had a private room in the back. I would just stand up at the bar. And it was cheap. It would cost me like $2,000 to book the room for the night, right? With like food and like 2 drink tickets, whatever. Versus $5,000 for a bunch of ads that I had to read through. So it was either throw a party for $2,000 or read a bunch of ads for $5,000, which was bullshit. It's like the F winter party won every single time. And we always ended up with really, really good candidates at that networking event.
Did you have your clothes on, Rich?
Absolutely. Oh yeah, it was a clothes on event. There was like, it was like a standard office event with just like, like when I say like the coconut boob thing, it was like on top of like, clothing, right? Like, it was just for fun. So we had a tiki dress and all that sort of thing. At the end of the night, people would start to apply for the jobs, right? And by the next morning, I had qualified candidates that we had partied with the night before. We got a good feel for, because, you had a drink with them, or, you chopped it up a little bit at the table, ate some food, found out where they work, what they were doing, and they were interested in coming to work for you. So throwing social events and gatherings, like, JC sort of explained, and like how I'm sort of like, you can mash up those ideas any number of ways to put people in rooms and let interesting thing happen if you're willing to, facilitate the event and put some time into organizing it and having some sort of intention or purpose with the whole thing, right?
I got a quick story to build on that too, because a couple months back, we threw me and my one business partner were like, we know like a lot of different interesting people. Let's kind of throw them in a room together and see what happens. So for a grand total of about $500 in booze, we had about 200 people at our friend's house, and we had literally had everyone from the folks in the music industry, people that runs fashion and fashion weeks. We've had guys that design the Falcon 9 rockets, and we had like full-time professional OnlyFans girls. Like, so we had this very diverse group mixing of people, but the amount of synergy that was able to come out of that. And one, everyone just had a great time because again, you're throwing a good party, right? Good booze and everything that's coming out there. But then two, the biggest thing, right, is everyone's asking about, hey, like, when's the next one of these types of events? Like, what's going on? So
that's
the
what you want.
Of things that have come from it, where it's like, from that event alone, I've been sitting front row at Fashion Week, and then I'm getting invited to crazy photo shoots with 20 OnlyFans girls up in the hills, based off of that one event alone, from just having a very diverse group of people in the room. And again, leveraging your networks, right? Because I know a ton of people, but then the people that they also know a ton of other different people. And we had a very specific and targeted list, but leverage, hey, I know someone that covers this, this, and this. Do you know someone that covers that, that, and that? Okay, great. Let's make something happen.
JC, you got one more tip real quick?
One more and I'm out. If you can, start a podcast. And let me give you the long game on this as far as the advice of why I did it. I have a podcast called The Future of Biz Tech. I interview software CEOs and CMOs. Now, it's a top of funnel podcast because my marketing agency, that's who we sell to. But that's my short game because it brings in clients. My long game is that I aspire to eventually create my own software company one day. I'm episode 60 or so in, which means I have the email, LinkedIn, cell phone number, and experience and direct contact networking with CEOs of software companies. I just interviewed the CTO of Intel last week. I have his cell phone number. Now, I don't use it right now. I don't need to, but every now and then I could check in with these guys. So from the long ball game, when I know that one day I want to sell my agency and start a software company, I can send texts and talk to these software CEOs and have a good advice. They can hook me up with other people who can help maybe for investment because they had investment if they like what I'm doing and they remember me because I, interviewed them on my podcast, So but starting a podcast isn't all that hard. You just got to look it up. But that's my short game and my long game. And I think that's a cool tip for anyone who's trying to play both for networking professionals.
JC, I'd like to connect you after this.
Sure.
Because I work in the software industry as well.
Yeah.
Cool.
The big bonus tip out of what JC just put you guys all up on is that he owns his contact list. He's got the phone numbers and the emails. He doesn't have people's Instagram handles, which can be great and fun to have, but right, Instagram goes down, your whole contact list is gone. He's got the actual value, which is the actual contact information. So there's your bonus tip.
It's a powerful sales tool too. Because I had a podcast for a really niche software company years ago, and we were number one content-wise in our space. So the sales guys would just give me a list to be like, hey, bring these people on the podcast because whenever you interview them, they close within a week. People that they've been dragging out in the sales process for a while. And a lot of our enterprise-level clients all came to the podcast. It was an unintentional consequence of launching that thing, but it was a powerful sales tool for that company I worked at.
Cool. Yeah. Charles and JC, you guys can connect in the private chat over there. So I'm just going to pull you out, JC.
Cool. Thanks,
buddy. Yeah, podcasting is actually a really good one now that I think about it, because I mean, like one of the strategies that I'm using on my Playing to Win podcast. So if you guys don't know, if you're new to the channel, I have two podcasts on the channel. There's the Unplugged Alpha, which is based on my book, which you should have by now. It's on Amazon. Or there's a Playing to Win series where I basically chop it up one-on-one with somebody that I find interesting and just kind of like, dive into their journey on chasing excellence in life. So the other day, I mean, you can't see it in the camera, but I've got a whiteboard in the corner over there with a bunch of names. There's probably about 30 names. I mean, I got stand-up comics on there. I got big YouTubers. I've got a lot of names on there, and I'm slowly going to level up through, the list of contacts that I have. Because I mean, like by the time I get to episode, 20, whatever more down the road, I'm going to have had more and more interesting people that allow me to talk to more and more interesting people as I sort of go, right? So I mean, you sort of like build your network, and your network becomes your net worth as you kind of work through it. And I'm of course creating value for these people, right? Like if I have a discussion with them that results in 30, 40, 50,000 views, then that's good for them. It's good for me. It's good for everybody, right? Like the viewers get something out of it. We all get something out of it. So podcasts are actually a very good way. So thanks for mentioning that, JC, and bringing that up. I don't think we have time for any more questions, and I got to wrap up on some things here. Before we go to closing, guys, I'll let you guys do some closing thoughts each. Just real quick, I got to go to full screen. I got to shout out to Grondike again, because I just got their new shipment of their third series. So they've gone through number 3. So we've got Maverick number 3, which is a eucalyptus and mint, which smells amazing. Lavender Thistle, which is also available on the website. You can get this all down below. And Peppermint Tea Tree, that smells really good. These are all natural, guys. They don't disrupt your endocrine system. The ingredients you can pronounce. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 on them. It's just good stuff. Scott's been a big supporter of the channel for a long time. There's beard oil. There's pheromone sticks as well. He's got the new soap scents in the pheromone sticks, which are just touch-ups. You can just keep it in your car. Or your gym bag or whatever. You just put it on your neck, your beard, your wrist, whatever. And he's also sent me the 3-packs for the fall season as well. So they have 3-pack samplers of these and the new ones. I don't have a 3-pack for the new one. He didn't send anything, but they've got these. So check it out over at coopersoap.com. You guys are showering anyway. You might as well use the stuff that's good for you. And also over my shoulder over here, where's my other link? And pull that out. That's a ticker now. So go to theunpluggedalpha.com as it's titled in the video series. And let me put it up on the screen just to show you guys again. Share screen. Bada boom. There you go. And if you just go to shop, you won't see the drop down. It only shows on my screen over here because the way StreamYard plops it up. But if you want to organize by estrogen metabolism to get estrogens out of your body, burning fat, your foundational essentials, which are all organized there. Immune health, which is really important, especially if you're not jabbed. Performance. The performance category is really good because we've actually got NAC in there now too, and I've been told by a few sources that it's very hard to get off of Amazon, but we have it in stock. And your testosterone supports. So you can go check that out. That's again below at theunpluggedalpha.com. And just hit the shop button. If you check out with coupon code Alpha10, you get 10% off on your first order. Closing thoughts, gentlemen. What do you guys all got in mind right now before we wrap up? Moff, I'll let you go first, and we'll just kind of go clockwise.
Yeah, so my final tip on the networking stuff, guys, throwing events and being out and doing this kind of suits and girls and whiskey and cars and stuff, it's all great. First and foremost, I think, though, you need to be somebody that people want to be around. You have to learn how to be socially calibrated. You have to learn how to be a guy that people want to attend those events, right? So learn how to talk to people, learn how to be sort of that life of the party, learn how to ask people questions. There's nothing people like more than talking about themselves and show genuine interest. So being that guy that's talking people up, that's, opening people, asking them what they do, asking them about different stuff, and just going with no expectations of getting anything in return. You should always be going to give value. And if anything comes back around, that's going to be the cherry on top. To get in contact with me directly, you can follow me. This is my little micro site, beacons.ai/moff. My Instagram is linked there. My stereo is linked there. I'm doing one-on-one coaching and consults now. I have a link for a free intro session. If you're interested in that, I'm getting some guys there on my roster specifically talking about intersexual dynamics, dating app optimization, stuff like that. So Jaron and I may do something after this show if you guys want to hop on over to stereo and we'll chop it up. But other than that, it's been a great show as always. And thanks for having us on, Rich.
Yeah, no problem, buddy. Josh?
Yeah, first I want to say thanks again for gathering this group together. It's always a pleasure and a treat to come out. And again, not only do you hear ideas that you have kind of around in the back of your head and hear those verified, but you also learn something new and get some other good takeaways from it. But yeah, I mean, I would definitely say that kind of building off Moff's point, you really just got to come from a place of being genuine and authentic. You're not really looking to actively get things out of people. And again, it doesn't really matter what your forte is, right? It's finding your tribe, so to speak. So, all right, if you're not a car guy, cool, go to a bike meetup. If you're not a bike guy, then go to a fishing thing. If you're not a fishing guy, then go to a Dungeons and Dragons thing. If you're not a Dungeons and Dragons guy, then whatever it is that you have an entry point into on the social side, that's really what you need to, that's your ground zero, your starting point where you can focus in on. And if you guys are looking to connect with me, the only thing I guarantee is just shenanigans, fun times, and probably some good food and fast cars in there. But you can get at me at Renegade Wingman, either through my website, Instagram, or my YouTube. I'm all over the place.
Cool. You're up, buddy.
All right, my turn. I'm going to echo the other guys' sentiments. Thank you for, Rich putting together this opportunity with the 1% group, bringing us on the show. Because of that, we've gotten to do Miami stuff. And for me, there's so many opportunities starting to open up that I would have never imagined maybe even a year ago. So I want to thank every guy here on the panel for that and making that happen. If you want to follow me, I have taken some time off from the corporate world during COVID, built a lot of cool stuff this last year, and now I'm going to start getting it out there. So head to menshrine.com. That's my normal site. You can follow me on you could follow me on Instagram at menshrine. That account has been suspended, so I am working on that now. I'm getting the runaround. Like,
what happened?
They said I violated the terms of service, but didn't tell me why.
It was a brand new account. You know what, dude?
Yep.
It's something to do with the name.
Do you think so? Yeah. Probably.
I don't know.
It was something like they said I needed to verify it, but I couldn't because it was less than 30 days old. So I was like, well, I'm trying to. All my other Facebook-related accounts are verified. So it should be back here soon, though. I think I'm making some headway there. Facebook's just kind of a pain in general for that stuff. I do have a YouTube channel now. I've started posting videos again. Guys that follow me on there, I took like a little hiatus doing my other stuff, but it's back on there. I'll get shorts going. I'll do at least one comprehensive video a week. If you head over to Stereo, I'm with Moff at least once a week. And follow at Modern Flackers on Instagram. Also, we'll be launching something here this week. Some more guys from Rich's group. He already took off, but JB's going to be on there. Moff's going to be on there. Other guys that have called in that aren't Rich's group are heading on there. We got John Fitch on there, which is a big get. So we're making some stuff happen, really, and that all comes from networking. It all stems from Rich's group. And then, guys, if you need any professional stuff, I have been successful in the corporate world. I'm between the corporate and entrepreneur world right now. So I built a sales team in El Salvador this year. I built some really cool content clusters paired with some AI so I can scale that stuff out. So if you're needing stuff like that, if you need anything done in Latin America, hit me up. I can navigate academia, government, and the entertainment industries very well down here. I just show up and they just kind of bring me into the fold whether I want
Your
to or
DMs
not.
are going to blow up now, Jaron.
Oh, good. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah, my personal Instagram at Jaron Scott because Menshrine is down.
All right,
And
Charles.
that should be it.
Where do you want people to find you? Tango Duque.
No. Don't find me at all. So,
don't follow him anywhere.
Yeah, just don't bother.
Follow me and I'll get you to Charles.
Find about a whiskey distillery,
and JC, if you're still watching, you should really join the community. I think you'd be a good fit the way you're describing the with your
Can I
roll
tell
shit.
a little story, Rich?
Yeah, go ahead.
I won't take long. So here's for you guys who just arrived in a new city. When I first went to Denver, I started Argentine Tango, and I got really serious. I invested a lot of time and money into it. But through that community, I met many interesting people, a couple of ballet mistresses included.
Ooh la la.
And ballet mistresses are the feminine version of ballet maestros. They teach ballet company. And in this case, it was the Colorado Ballet. And I was introduced to a patron program, which you pay a certain amount of money, but then you have backstage access after the show. You also get invited to all the rehearsals, and the rest is history.
All right. There you have it, guys. Hope you enjoyed the show. Smash the like button. Doesn't cost you anything. What are we at right now? We got, scroll down here, only 300. Oh.
Ballerinas, by the way, are true athletes.
Yes, they are.
Yeah, they're very bendy, aren't they? They're like
they're
yogis.
nimble. Yeah,
they're very bendy.
Oh, they're very tough.
Guys, hit the like button and leave a comment below. We're going to do another one of these again, probably in about a month's time or so. Yeah, appreciate you guys watching. Hope you got some value out of, how to network and get some ideas there. And, you can run with one or you can just mash up a couple of them. I mean, there's nothing wrong with taking ideas, putting them together in a shaker and shake it up and let them have some idea sex and out comes, something new, right? That's the way a lot of really great and brilliant things come out of this world today. So hope you enjoyed the show. See you guys later. Peace out.